Today, I wanted to talk about a subject that comes up time and time again in my communities and also in my private client work, and that is the subject of overwhelm. So often when we're overwhelmed, what we're really craving for is space. Space to think, space to simply be, space for ourselves. We want the mental churn to stop, the list that is going through our head to stop, and simply be able to get off what seems to us to be either a roller coaster or a hamster wheel. I remember when I was in practice at the bar and I had 3 small children. They were all under 5, and life just seemed to be a perpetual hamster wheel, a never-ending list of stuff that I had to do and with no time to do it in. I felt the burden of my job intensely, and yet I really wanted to be the very best mum that I could be as well. I remember distinctly imagining what it would be like if I broke a leg or something like that, just so that I could stop and just sit and do nothing, and maybe have other people do all the stuff that I had to do. It felt all far too much for me to do, and I felt the intense weight on my shoulders. What I notice is that whilst there are times now when I do feel overwhelmed, because I think we all have times when we feel overwhelmed, they are fortunately not as many and not as intense as those times. And the feeling of overwhelm very much comes and goes. I can sometimes have a lot on my plate and my list can be enormous, and I'll be absolutely okay with that, And sometimes I can have a few things on my list and they just feel like so burdensome and that I'll never get them done. And I look back and I realize that actually this was the case back at the time when I was a lawyer. There were times when I would have said to you, I thrived on stress. I loved being busy. In fact, I worked better when I had far too much to do and not enough time to do it in. And also there were times when that was clearly not the case as well. And so when I reflect on this, what I see really clearly now is that if those feelings come and go, then actually it has nothing to do with the stuff that I have to do. It's all about how I'm creating the feeling. I'm creating that feeling that I'm overwhelmed. And that's not just true just for me, that's true for everyone. What I find more and more is that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, what we are experiencing is like an overfilled head, if you like. A head that is filled with items that we have to do on our list, deadlines that may or may not be realistic, guilt or bad feeling about what should be done or what needs to be done. It's not really whatever overwhelm is to you. And it's often that which we're craving space from. We're craving space from this mental churn that we have all the time about what it is that we have to do and how we feel about that stuff. It's not the actual stuff that we have to do that it is at play here. Because I know that on a different occasion, I'm going to feel very, very differently about it. And in fact, it won't seem overwhelming on a different occasion. So it's what I'm thinking about the thing, which is the key component here. And that's what I find so fascinating about our gift of thought. It's something that blows my mind, if you like, that we have this ability to create our experience in any given moment. And that using our thinking, we can tell ourselves whatever we want about whatever it is that we want to think about. And we can do that in a positive way, or we can do that in a negative way. But I also know that often it doesn't seem as simple as that. It doesn't seem that easy. Because, of course, we have no control over what pops into our head in any given moment, you know. We can at times look at that never-ending list, and a whole lot of overwhelmed thinking will just come flooding into our head. But the key, I think, to all of this is that why is it that sometimes we take all of that overwhelmed thinking so seriously, and at other times we simply don't? What I know from my own experience and what I see is that when I'm in a lower state of mind, I take all of this overwhelming thinking a lot more seriously. If an overwhelming thought pops into my head, like, you should have done this, or you'll never get this done, I'm far more likely to believe that as a truth. Whereas when my state of mind is higher and I'm in a better frame of mind, I'm more grounded, I'm more likely to shrug off a kind of thought like that and just kind of let it go by and listen to that more grounded voice, you know, that kind of inner wisdom, if you like, that tells me that it's all going to be okay and that it's going to work out. And I also know that when I'm in this more grounded state of mind, I'm far more effective. I work far more efficiently. I'm more confident. I'm happier. I'm more creative. And I'm all the things that I crave when I'm in a lower state of mind. And again, this isn't just true for me. This is true for every human being. So then the conclusion that I can only draw from all of this is that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, that must only mean that I'm doing overwhelmed thinking. And it can only tell me that in that moment, I'm in a lower state of mind. It can't tell me anything about what I have to do, what I should be doing, how guilty I should feel for not doing it, what the deadline is, or how I'm going to miss that deadline, or anything else for that matter. And when I'm charged with that knowledge, I know that my best option to not feel overwhelmed anymore is to focus on my state of mind rather than my to-do list, and explore what I need to kind of bounce back to my more grounded state. And this is so often the hardest part, you know, because we already know what it is that we need. And often my clients will say to me, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And often all we really need to do is listen. You know, listen to that little voice that is at the back of our head, you know, the quiet voice that feels so dependable, yet it is very quiet and often is drowned out by the noise of our overwhelmed thinking. But it is that voice that will be telling you what you need, and it can be incredibly random, or it can make perfect sense. It can range from things like go make a cup of tea, have a walk, have some water, have a nap, you know, whatever. It's not really the thing that you're doing that is important. You know, it's not like when I feel like this, I always need to have a cup of tea. It's about listening to what you need in that moment, and your inner wisdom will guide you back to quickest and simplest way to get you grounded again. But so often we become so welded to our overwhelmedness. If you think, you know, we believe that the thinking that tells us that we don't have time, or it won't work, or the other stuff is too important, or things like that, that we stop believing that the little voice will work for us. Now, I started this recording saying that often we feel overwhelmed, and often we're experiencing overwhelmedness because we're craving that space. And that is true. And what we're really craving is that space that comes when we are grounded. That space that comes when we have that clarity of mind, that peace of mind. And if we allow it to, that innate intelligence that we have within all of us, that wisdom will guide us back to that grounded space. If we listen to it, of course. I hope you've enjoyed today's recording. Thank you for listening to today's recording. If you have enjoyed it, or you would like to share what has occurred to you as a result of listening to this, then do pop over to my Flourishing Business community over on Facebook. It is a free community, and it's there for you to use and enjoy. And it also has some other videos on there as well. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.